Okay, I'm actually going to record this warm-up. I normally don't record warm-ups, but I know these are challenging problems. And if you need to go back and rewatch it, then you can go back and rewatch it. It'll be on the same, it'll be the first part of our video notes. Okay? So, if we are looking for area for these two, that's what we were asked to find, was the area for these two problems. But you are given circumference. Okay, so area is pi r squared. In order to find the area, you have to know what? The radius. In order to find the area, you have to know the radius. I don't know that. I know the circumference. Okay, so if you know the circumference, you are going to replace C with the circumference formula that allows you to find the radius. What formula is that? Hold on, what do I replace C with? What formula replaces C that allows you to find the radius? 2 pi r. So 2 pi r equals 50.3. You now have an equation where you can solve for r. How do I get r by itself? Divide by 2 pi. Now remember, in your calculator you need to use parentheses or you need to do it separately. So 50.3 divided by 2 pi. And if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, I get 8. So r equals 8. Once you know what r is, you can plug it into the area formula because that's what you're looking for in the first place. So area equals pi times 8 squared. 8 squared is 64. You can leave pi in your answer, and your unit should be meters squared. How'd we do? Not great? Okay. Good? Some of us okay? Okay, number 2 is the exact same thing. Again, you're looking for area, but we don't know the radius, so I can't find the area. I do know the circumference, so I'm going to replace C with 2 pi r. Here I'm going to divide by 2 pi. So 44 divided by 2 pi gives you 7. Area equals pi times 7 squared, or 49 pi centimeters squared. Okay. So again, the math is not hard. It's just knowing what to replace and then how to solve from there. So think about what you know. Think about what you need. For 3 and 4, what am I looking for? My circumference. So I'm looking for the circumference. So circumference is 2 pi r or d times pi, either one. I don't know r, so I'm going to use my area formula to find r. What do I replace a with? Pi r squared. And that equals 422 point. Thank you. 422.7. How do I solve for r? Divide by pi. So 422.7 divided by pi, I'm getting 134.5. Okay, so r squared equals 134.5. R is still not by itself. So what am I going to do? Square root. So the square root of 134.5, 11.6. So C equals 2 times pi times 11.6. And you get 23.2 pi feet. What's wrong? Are these ones easier or the other ones?
These ones.
Really? You know they're exactly the same, right? Okay. Just a different formula. The process is exactly the same. Okay, let's do this last one. Again, I'm going to replace A with pi r squared. Start by dividing by pi. So 113.1 divided by pi gives me 36. When you take the square root of both sides, you end up with r equals 6. So your circumference is 2 times pi times r, or 12 pi miles. Questions on the warm-up? I guarantee these will be on your test, so if you need to re-watch it, it's in today's video notes. And I hope your notes look really nice and you can understand them.
How did you, once you got your 36, did you, and then you did the 6, what did you do with the 2 pi? Did you divide?
Right here?
Yeah.
I just plugged it in. So I plug 6 in because it's 2 pi r. So you plug 6 in for r, and then 2 times 6 is 12 pi. Any other questions on the warm-up? Okay. Page 59. Today is the 13th. So here we're going to look at arc length and radian measure. So let's start by drawing a circle. Another solid circle. Okay. So in the first unit, we talked specifically about the area of the circle, which would be the whole inside of the circle, and the circumference, which is the outside or the perimeter of the circle. Here for arc length, we're going to talk about a piece of the outside of the circle. So, we're at our center, so C is our center, and it creates a piece of the circle, or an arc, known as AB. So the arc is just from A to B. It's that piece of the circle. Okay, so from A to B. And we also need R, which is our radius. All formulas that I give you for this unit will also be on your test, just like the volume one. You just have to know which one they go with and how to use them. Okay. So formula for arc length is S equals M over 360 times 2 pi r. What in that formula looks familiar to you? 2 pi r. And what is 2 pi r? The circumference. So this is still the circumference of a circle. But we're multiplying it by just this piece, this measure. So this M stands for measure. It's going to be a degree. And it's this measure here. The measure of that arc. Okay, and it's just that piece that we're looking for. Now, I will tell you that the measure of this arc and this angle here, which is known as the central angle, have the same degree. So if the central angle is 50 degrees, this arc is also 50 degrees. If the arc's 45 degrees, then the central angle is 45 degrees. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you see the measure, these are going to be the same. Cool? Okay, so let's try an example. And we are looking for the measure of the arc. That's what we're looking for, is the measure of that arc. That's a 60. Yep. So we're going to use our formula. So S equals, what is the measure of that arc? 60. The central angle is 60, so that arc is also 60. So 60 divided by 360, I'm just plugging it into my formula, times 2 pi, and what's R? What was it? 12. Okay, so this is 360 divided by 60 times 24 pi. Leave pi, I'm going to let you leave pi in your answer. Okay? So 60 divided by 360 times 24 is what you need to do. 60 divided by 360 times 24. Plug that into your calculator. Tell me what you get. 4? So if I were to simplify, if I don't have a calculator or don't want to use it, I can cross out these zeros, right? Because it's like dividing by 10, which is really 6 over 36. Does 6 over 36 reduce? To 1/6, right? So 1/6 times 24 pi is what I have. 6 cancels, goes into 24 4 times, which is how I know I'm left with 4 pi. And because it's the length of the arc, or it matches with my circumference, my units are just meters. Okay, so 4 pi meters. Again, I'm not going to make you convert it. You should know how to. You should know how to multiply by 3.14, but I'm going to let you leave it in terms of pi. Cool? Okay, let's try another one. That's an 8. 8 yards. Take a second and plug it into the formula and see what you get as your answer. So there's what you should have plugged into the formula. What did you get when you simplified it? 4 pi yards. all of these answers will have pi in the answer. They're all circles. We had an issue on the volume test on whether we were putting pi in our answer or not. Some people put it when they weren't supposed to, and vice versa. Yeah.
How is it 4?
How is it what?
How do you get 4?
How do we get 4? So these cancel out, so 9 over 36 reduces to 1/4 times 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4.
Oh, that's what
Are we okay there? Okay. We're going to have some clock problems. How many of you can tell time? Oh, good. I'm going to call them the clock problems. Okay, so we have a clock. And we should know that on a clock, you have 12, 3, 6, and 9 at the quarter out, like every 15 minutes, right? Oh, goodness. So we have a clock. Okay, so we have minute and hour hands, right? Which one's the minute versus the hour hand? Okay, so the minute hand's going to be your longer one. So our minute hand, we're just going to draw our minute hand on this clock. Our minute hand is going to start at 12, and it is going to sweep to 3. Okay, it's going to start at 12 and sweep to 3. And I will tell you that your minute hand is 10 inches. Now, I'm still finding the same thing. I want to know what this length is here. What am I missing? I'm missing the angle measure, right? Now, I can look at this one, and I'm sure some of you can too, and tell me what that angle measure is. It's 90 degrees. Okay. Now, we won't always be able to see that, so let me show you how we find it. How many minutes have passed? 15 minutes, right? And how many minutes are in an hour? 60. Okay, so this is how I find the degrees if I can't easily see it. So this one I know is 90, so let's just verify that it's 90. There's 15 minutes that have passed in that total hour. But a circle is how many degrees? 360. So I'm going to take my 15 minutes out of the hour and multiply it by 360. What do you get? 90. Okay, so again, we can look at that and say it's 90 degrees. But just in case, you're going to take your minutes over an hour, so however many minutes you have, over that 60, and then multiply it by 360 so you actually find the degree. Now that I know this is 90, I'm using the exact same formula I did above. 90 over 360 times 2 pi r. What did you get when you plugged it into your calculator? 5? So it's 5 pi inches. Did we all get 5? No? Yes? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to give you one more clock problem that I want you to try. Okay, so you have the minute hand. It starts at 12 o'clock and it goes to 12:27. I want you to find the measure of that arc. Or that arc length, I should say, excuse me. So you're looking for the length of that arc. So use what we just talked about and find the length of that arc. Where did you start? What did you have to do first? Mackenzie?
The minutes over the hour.
Okay, so how many minutes are there total?
27.
So 27 minutes over 60 times 360. And what did you get there? Okay, that's the first part. Then we take 162 and we plug it in. So S equals 162 over 360 times 2 times pi times R. 162 divided by 360. And what did you get? 5.4 pi inches. Good. 5.4 pi inches. Are we okay with that? Okay, last thing. We are going to convert degrees to radians. So remember at the beginning, what were we doing? Maybe when we started trig, some of you had issues and you weren't getting the same answer and I messed with your calculator a little bit. There's two different modes on your calculator. There's the degree mode, which is what we're always in, and then the radian mode. And radians deals more with trig and the circle, so you'll see that if you get to IM3 and pre-calc. But we do want to be able to convert degrees to radians. So we have a new formula. It looks almost identical to arc length, but it is S equals M over 360 times 2 pi. That's it. So it's without the radius, because all we're doing is converting degrees to radians. We're not looking for the length of anything. Now this is going to be the only one where I don't want pi in your answer. Okay, so you will have to multiply by 3.14 for this problem only. Everything else you can leave pi. So I'm going to tell you I have 60 degrees, and I think you can convert that to radians. So if I give you 60 degrees, what will it be in radians? You can do the 60 divided by 360 and then just times 2 pi. Yeah, it's only really division where you have to worry about your parentheses. So this one you can just plug directly into your calculator. And what did you get? 1.0, okay, so if it's rounded to the nearest tenth, it would be 1.0. If you gave me 1.05, I wouldn't mark it wrong either, because it's 1.047. So either one is fine. Just make sure you watch or read the directions and see what it asks for. Okay? Questions, comments, or concerns? This is the whole second unit, so far not too bad, right? All right.